I can't believe I'm doing this. Mega bases. What every survival player eventually aspires to make within their worlds. So, what makes a build mega? Is it the high level of detailing? The amount of villages that you can fit in it? Well, no. When we refer to something that is mega, we're only talking about the scale. Yes, that does mean that we can build a giant dirt hut. Yes, that would qualify as long as we build it big enough. That would qualify as a mega base. I actually haven't started planning on my mega base for Lavacraft Season 2, so this is actually perfect timing. On the server, I plan on making 3 different bases, but only one of them is a mega build, the Citadel of Dragons. Generally, I'll go and grab the landscape before I plan anything, but since I don't have access to that, I'll have to adjust my plans once I'm actually on the server. But for now, I can get a general layout of what I want.
Oh, by the way, you need to upload this on Wednesday.
On Wednesday? Yeah, I know. And today's Monday. Today is Monday. Oh no.
Yeah, and because of how long you take to edit, you basically have 24 hours to design and build this thing.
Okay, 24 hours? No biggie. Do I think I can get this done in 24 hours? Absolutely not. Not even with World Edit. But because of that, I'm going to use World Edit just to assist me to get this done quicker. First thing I'm going to do isn't in-game but rather on a piece of paper. I'm going to create a sketch that will give me an idea of what I want to do in terms of the build or in terms of its shape. And now that I know a general layout for the only part of the build I really had in mind, now sketched up, I can now begin to plan it. I wanted to spend more time on this planning stage, but the clock is ticking, so on to the next part. So now I'm going to be doing the overall shape, but I'm not going to do any detailing yet as I want to get the shape down first, and not overload my brain as there is no need for that at this point. When planning, we're going to be using our highly colorful blocks in order to plan different sections. If we didn't do this, then we'd just see a single color, and then we wouldn't be able to distinguish the different sections from each other. This ends up being around about 200 by 200 by 250-ish. So if you wanted a good scale to help you out, that would be a good starting point in terms of mega, you know. As I'm going around planning, I have towers, of course. I'm sure you're all smart enough in order to figure that out. But what I'm looking for is the empty space, and once I see it, I'm going to add on to the shape, so that way I can keep it more dynamic. After this point, I kind of forgot to record. Again, I'm on a time crunch, but it's fine, I'll just show you what I came up with. Okay, so I do have the shape down here. I have done all the towers, and I've put on quite a few more shapes since the last recording. Again, I forgot to record. That is my bad. But I'll show you what I've added. So with blue wool, I have added arches below every single one of the bridges. Even the new ones. I added a new tower back here because I thought that this space down here was too empty. But then eventually I decided that the entire bottom was too empty, so I needed to add an entire building down here. Other than that, I added another tower. Another 2 towers on the sides of these towers, and I also added a balcony. And then once again, adding these little archways to the bridges. That way I can make the bridges flow easier instead of them just being straight lines, you know? Yeah, with these, especially with the main building, I made sure that they were all at different heights. So, like you'll notice here, I have a flat area. This is specifically for a balcony area that would then look down, because of this area would then be the courtyard. So this area would then look down towards that, because this is a place for scholars, and even scholars need quiet places where they can read, where they can do anything they really need to do about their day, just with no real noise around, you know? This part back here is very flat. I was considering changing it, but just in considerations of my own time, I'm not doing it. If I complicate this any further than this, it's going to take me way too much time, and I already think this is going to take me way too much time. So, back to the vid. After my rampant panicking on Monday, I ended up with my wrist in a lot of pain, as in I could barely move it. Out of fear of getting repetitive strain injury, I stopped building after the planning. There was too much to do, and I could see it. But if I couldn't move my wrist, the video was over. So I went to bed hoping to rest it. And anyone that knows me knows that that's a funny joke. I'm a bit of an insomniac. So even though I went to bed at 1 AM, knowing how much there was to do kept me up. And as time ticked away, 2 AM, 3 AM, 6 AM quickly approached, and only then could I fall asleep. So my plans to wake up at 9 AM, to start working, no, that went down the drain. So I woke up at 11:45. So now, sleep deprived, and with my hand still hurting, I needed to complete this build. Now, if you've watched any of my other tutorials, you would know that I detail while I build. That's a bit of a bad habit on my part, and something that won't even work here because as you move away from blocks, you can no longer see the texture and only the color. So what you want to do isn't highly texture, but rather color. And when you color, you want to block the colors. And then later, instead of texturing, you can instead introduce things like gradient, which is pretty much texturing, but for long distance rendering. So for now, we're just going to block out the colors for the walls and roofs and anything else that is needed. This is where we see that I kept messing up. Where since I stream and have people checking up on me, I kept pausing my recording and ended up forgetting to unpause it, said recording. So yeah, this was only the start to my descent into madness. Back to the build. Once the towers and bridges were done, I had to go off to stream, and I slept right after that. So I really didn't get much done on Tuesday. However, even though I went to stream, my mind couldn't leave the build. Like it was calling out to me to complete it. I tried to ignore it, but it really started to wear away at my mental. Then I went to sleep, and things really did not get better. I only slept for 2.5 hours before waking back up. I didn't go back to work instantly, but I only took an hour for me to get back onto my PC, and my mindset had changed from the previous day. Before, I thought of building in layers, block up the colors, gradient the build, and then detail. Steps I have been teaching you guys for over the past couple weeks. But the timer got to me. With only 17 hours left until this video had to come out, there was no way that this build was ever going to be completed. There was only one way that this was going to be completed. And there was one problem with that way. I have friends, but none of them are builders. So that wasn't gonna happen. I felt alone. And the funny thing was that I was building this while I was in calls with other people across the entire project, but none of them understood that I couldn't take it. The more blocks I placed, the more that I hated the build, and it was all down to one thing. I didn't have time. I started pushing my friends away, thinking that it would give me more time, but little did I know I was just putting myself back into a mental prison that I had escaped years ago. But then an idea clicked. What if this build never existed? Would I still feel this way? I actually knew the answer to this. You see, in my early years as a builder, I had a really strange habit. every single time that I would complete a build, I'd soak in what I had created, and then I'd delete the world. You see, if I built the best build I had ever created, I'd be satisfied. But I wouldn't push any harder to improve, because I have already made my best. But if I deleted it, then back to the beginning I go. But the next time round, it would be getting better. And better. Because I had learnt from my mistakes. Now, after my little rant, I think you'll understand what I mean when I say, boom.